When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this: 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately." This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. "Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in a turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" And the crowds were saying, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee." 6 weeks ago, we began our Lenten pilgrimage reflecting on Matthew's account of the start of Jesus' ministry and the temptations that Jesus faced. You can be a king greater than David. You can bring the true faith and dispel all doubts. The world and all of its power will belong to you and worship you. Matthew is clear that those questions and temptations would return to Jesus many times and in many ways. Throughout his life, Jesus responded to those struggles by relying on what he said were God's two most important commandments. The first, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your might. And the second, love your neighbor as yourself. Today, Matthew offers the story of Jesus' entry into Jerusalem. As he rode through that shouting and joyous crowd on the back of that donkey, listening to what that crowd was really asking him, Jesus would have recognized that here again were the familiar questions and temptations. The people were celebrating Jesus as a king with all the answers, the new David, the one bringing God's miracles and the fulfillment of all of their hopes, the anointed one to subject all of the world to God's righteous revenge. As the people shouted and threw their coats on the road in front of him, realizing that here again were the same questions, perhaps Jesus returned in his mind to those words that he knew by heart. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your might, and love your neighbor as yourself. And as he thought about that truth, he may have also been asking himself, how, when, where, here? In the days ahead, those questions will return in the streets, in the temple, in an upper room around the supper table, in an olive grove, before the high council, in the court of the Roman governor, and in the place where enemies of the state were executed. And we will see how this young man from Galilee, in the last days of his own pilgrimage, answers those questions, living into them. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your might. And love your neighbor as yourself. How? This is how. Where? This is where. When? This is when. Here?